actually.
Let's talk SEO here. What is SEO? Using your brain. So what is SEO? I get a lot of, I say, yeah, I work in the SEO department at the Strategic Factory, and I get a lot of perplexed looks. I say, yeah, I do SEO for a living. People say, what is SEO? What do you do? Are you a coder? Are you a graphic designer? Are you, I got actually lately, do you do Geek Squad, almost like Best Buy. So a lot of people don't know what I do. Almost 98% of people don't know what I do. So I want to do some audience participation here. Does anybody know what SEO is? See, yes, that actually is search engine optimization. That's correct. So what does SEO look like? There are a lot of things involved with SEO. One thing is backlinks. Backlinks can be a little confusing. There are things like internal backlinks where you can actually link to other pages on your website. That's link authority. For example, if you're an orthodontist, you can link on your homepage to other service pages on your orthodontist page. Other things too, there's a lot of things called link juice. So say for example, like we're a Strategic Factory. We create an infographic, nice infographic about SEO. And then on the American Marketing Society, they put that on their website and they link back to our website. Google's going to say, wow, you're obviously an authoritative website. That is called link juice, that's backlinking. So you want more of that. A lot of things like infographics, videos, a lot of like rich media really helps with backlinking. And then there's loading speed. Obviously you've been on things like websites where anything loading less than 3 seconds, you're probably out of there. You've been on websites that load 10 seconds or more. I mean, it's just so frustrating. So that's SEO as well. And user experience, back in the day it was all about content, writing, but the user experience is huge now. It's all about, authentic images, navigation, things like that. And then meta tags, that's a little bit more, on the technical side, but meta tags, meta descriptions, title tags, that's kind of the first things people see when you type in your brand on the Google search results. It's almost like an advertisement. So call to actions, unique selling propositions, keywords should be front loaded. So that's important too. All of that right there is SEO. So how do you build your brand? People come to us, a lot of clients come to us, and they say, we want to build our brand. How do we do that? And one of the first things we say is, through your website, through SEO, because it's a 24-hour shop. And one of the first things we say is keyword research. Some people say that keyword research is dead because it's all about design, but keyword research is not dead. Keyword research, that's one of the biggest opportunities you have. You have to identify your audience, identify keyword opportunities using keyword research tools, and then implementing them on the page through keyword intent. And then content creation. It's just not about fluff anymore. 10, 12 years ago, you can put just any type of content on the page, just fluff, with all these keywords, etc., and then you would rank high. But now it's about answering the customer's questions, being unique, being authoritative, having FAQs on the page, videos, that type of content. And like I said, improving the user experience. Is your website fast? Can you navigate well? Is there authentic images? Is it good for handicapped people as well? Is it mobile friendly? Can it be indexed properly? We just did an audit for a potential client. He has a website and actually it is not being crawled by Google. So he paid all that money for a new website and it's not even being crawled by Google. So that's just terrible news. And then
what does being crawled by Google mean?
It means that his page is not being found on Google at all. He's not being indexed. He probably does not have a sitemap. Yeah. So someone types in his brand, someone types in non-branded keywords. he can't be found on Google at all. Likely he doesn't have a sitemap. And then the link building as well, like I mentioned there, yeah, I mean, that's very important. It takes a little bit more time, but through content, unique content, especially rich content, videos, infographics, reaching out to people that mentions your name in articles or blogs, that will very be helpful. And you can never forget local SEO, especially with local, local businesses, especially when it comes to whether it's a restaurant, a roofer, anything like that, a hospital. People just don't type in, like for example, we're going to show Genova's. People just don't type in pizza all the time. They type in pizza near me, pizza Hanover, pizza Owings Mills. So they're always looking for keywords in that type, in a type of city. So you have to consider that when people are searching for things. And also updating your Google business location too. And also, when it comes to that, you have to have a kind of a local twist on your website. When it comes to directions, cities served, also things that are happening in your area, whether it's events, communities, community events, any type of better business bureaus in your area too. And you can't forget about analytics and tracking. We always say, we never do anything just to do it. We don't optimize your homepage just because we feel like it. We'll optimize things because bounce rate is high or exit rate is high, or the keywords are low-hanging fruit, and we think that it could increase on the first page. So this is all SEO. It's all around us at all times. So this is an example of the paid. A lot of people say, so what's an example of paid versus organic results? And you've probably seen this. This is a lot of times this is what you see on the Google search results. You'll see the ads first, and then you'll see the organic search results, and this is called rich snippets here. Sometimes it changes a little bit depending on the industry you're in, or just if you're on your mobile phone, etc. But a lot of times, sometimes this people ask is above the organic search results. Sometimes you'll see Google Business. But a lot of times the paid search results is first, where people have to bid on the keywords and pay to be on this. But secondly, the organic search results. So this is kind of how the organic search, the search results looks right now. You can actually put images in the paid search, and this is obviously the organic, and this is called rich snippets. These are answering questions. A lot of times we use this for FAQs. A lot of people use this for FAQs. What is healthiest dog food feed? If you go on that website, this is probably on some type of FAQ. So that's why we have a lot of emphasis on FAQs on websites. And this is a case study we did. Genova's To Go, I know a lot of people here locally have heard of Genova's To Go, either eaten there or saw the commercials. They came to us in December of 2022. They had lofty goals. They had an app they were really excited about. They had an Eldersburg location that was opening in February of 2023. But traffic was down, conversions were down. And so one thing we wanted to do was, first thing we did, we had all the account managers, we had Amy in there, and we just wanted to learn about their business, because they're the experts. We had a 3-hour meeting, what is their pain points? What is their biggest ROI generator? Is it pizza? Is it subs? Is it pasta? What have they worked with an agency before? Do they have any gluten-free, etc.? And then we prioritized their data too. We just looked at their data. And one thing we did was we wanted to make their website just look a little bit more current. It looked very outdated. So what we did was we actually made their website digital, because it was a PDF menu. So doing that, we were able to track all the conversions on there and clicks. We did that with the catering menu too. We had more authentic photos because all the photos on there were stock items. And secondly, we had to get more conversions. We had a sticky footer on the bottom of the mobile page. And secondly, they were not showing up for any non-branded terms, meaning that when people type in Genova's to go, obviously they were showing up. But any new customers, if someone was searching for, quickly on a Friday night, a pizza near me, pepperoni pizza near me, Genova's was not showing up in their area. So with all of that, they had 23% increase in organic traffic and also 52% increase in conversion rate. 52% increase in conversion rate, that was orders, phone calls, and gift cards as well. And also, you do have in your folder too, there's a free audit that we're giving out till December 1st. This is really, really cool. This will show all of that information in there. This will give you, Google business information, keyword information, identify the site speed, whether your website is being crawled, analytics factors, even coding issues on your website. So this is all free, so you can't beat it, definitely. Any technical issues, like H1 tags, if you need help with your H tags, content issues. So all SEO suggestions, very thorough. It's almost like a 6-page report. So we'll do that for you. You have till December 1st to write your name in. You can just scan the code right here. We'll receive that email. We can do that for you. And I'm off to Amy.
Thank you.
I have a question really quick.
Oh, sure.
Is this deck available to us when we're done?
We will be posting the video and then emailing out the information.
Oh, so we get a whole video?
The whole video.
Yes, that's the deck plus that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, and the SEO audit that Steven just talked to, kind of wanted to wrap that up, that all the things that came before that he was talking about, that help your site and help your business get out there and your branding and conversions and everything, are all those very technical things that he was listing and going through. When we do the audit, that's something that, Steven and his team do that. Then we sit down with you and we say, okay, let's talk about what this audit means and what we can help you do if you'd like that, or please go, like Steven said, it's painful, somebody's website's not crawling. Free, go do it, so that's what that's all about, and we'll help you out with that if you like it. So today I'm talking about marketing budgets. So we're going to talk about determine a budget, budget allocation, and then I'll show you a sample. Heads up, this is a very simplistic review of doing budgeting. It takes a little more time and investment to do it, but what I want you to get out of this today is to be able to see that there's a process and a reason and analytics behind how you set up your budget for your marketing budget and where you spend your money. And in order with the goal to oftentimes get a better return on investment. So step one that we start with when we're talking to you about a budget is, what's your goal? What are you looking to do? Do you need to increase your number of leads? Say you're getting 50 leads a month and you say to us, we need to find a way to get 100 leads per month. How do we do that? Who's your audience? So your audience is going to be a big deal. We were talking this morning I was talking with, well, everyone, but some of you, we're talking about senior living and what a difference it is between where you focus your money and what they respond to versus Gen Z, Gen X, all of us have parents, non-parents. There's the marketing data that will help us determine where you're going to get, where you need to be, who you're going to target, who you will reach, and how best to reach them. And that all ties into your budget. And then what are the benchmarks? And you'll see as I go through those today, I'll explain how we use the benchmarks in order to determine your marketing budget. So sit tight, that's coming, but you have to have something to start with, right? You're like, if we're doing all this measurement, what are we measuring? So back to the goals, you might say you want to increase the number of leads. You might say, let's increase the number of customers. We have leads, we need more people in our store. Or let's get a lower cost of customer acquisition. So right now, we're spending $200 to get a customer in the door. And that's through analytics. We know exactly how much it costs from the time you make a contact with them to they become the customer. But our budget this year needs to be at $100 per acquisition. So what can we look at? What can we do differently to bring that down? So those are just 3 examples, but as Steven mentioned, we sit down with you and do this discovery workshop, and it's all the questions of what's your business? What do you want? What do you want to see happen? What do you hope the outcome will be in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months? So we said all that, we talk about all that, and then we dive in and say, okay, let's talk about how we're going to reach those goals. Next big question is often, how much do I need? So step 2 is, there we go, doing the math. So let me flip over here. Again, as I said, this is rather simplistic doing the math, but keep in mind when we're working with you and talking through the different scenarios, we're going to ask you a lot of questions about your budgeting and what you have and how can we work with you to work within your budget. Because I haven't had a customer come in yet that said, we have all the money in the world, spend it all, do what you want to do with it to make us get our customer acquisition lower. That really doesn't happen. People live by budgets, we understand that. So we sit and we talk about it and make sense out of your budget and how best to spend it. So for an example, we spent $2,000. Say you did something, you spent $2,000 and it brought in 100 leads, okay? This is the math behind how we're gonna figure out what your budget is. Your cost per lead at that point, there's your spend, there's a lead you got, $20 a lead. Now if you think back to when I was talking about your goals, if one of your goals is to increase leads, so that gives us an idea. Leads right now cost you $20. Can we afford that, or can we find a way to get more leads at a less cost? And we dive into the strategy to find that out. But you gotta know the numbers first. You convert 20% of those leads to customers. So you get, come over here, 20 new customers, which is 20% of the leads, okay? So now you know what you're spending, you know what how many new customers you're gonna get, and then the customer, cost per customer acquisition, same math, you take the 2,000, you've got 20 new customers from here, it's $100 per acquisition. Lot of numbers, and happy to go back and go through that in any kind of detail. And that's when we meet with you or talk with you, or if you want to just ask some questions about it, we put your actual numbers in. So we are doing monthly reporting with our clients. So if you have the history, the data history, we can pull that from your CRM and look at that for the last year, last 3 years, and say, okay, your numbers in your business, in your industry show, here's your average cost per lead, here's your customer acquisition. And we use those numbers so that they're real numbers when you're building your own budget. If you don't have those numbers, that's okay, because that's when we go to our benchmarks and we look at the industry that you're in, and we look at our clients, we track all data across all of our clients, and we're like, okay, this client over here in this particular industry in real estate has, the average cost per acquisition is $250. Average cost per lead is $88. And we plug in those numbers. And then as we work with you further and we start getting your own data and we start reporting that monthly to you, so we sit with you and say, here's what the numbers are, here's what we're seeing, here's the story behind them, here's our recommendations going forward. So it's not set it and forget it, as Steven said, yeah.
How do you advise also on how to improve the conversion rate?
Mm-hmm.
If you increase the conversion, then the cost per acquisition will be less.
Yes, yeah.
So, right, so I think that's the bigger problem is the conversion rate.
The conversion rate, sure. Yeah, you need, the conversion rate's kind of in a lot of cases, your bottom line, right? How do you get my customer here? So we talk about that a lot. If you're getting 100 leads, but you're not getting the conversion, they're not turning into a customer, of what is their value? And there's a lot of answers to that. There is always value to it because you're still putting your brand out there. But how can we make that look better? How can we do it? And it's a process of truly looking at your numbers and your sales team or your business and seeing what's converting. So we're gonna look at those numbers. If your direct mail is converting and your digital is converting at a certain rate, I'm gonna show you one of those, then we'll talk about where to put your money and how to get that. And then also just talking about business as far as conversions. What are your people doing? What happens to a lead when it comes in your building or comes on your phone or lands at your laptop? What is the journey that takes? That's the most valuable thing. You've just paid for that. So you paid for that, so let's make sure we take that lead through the process, get it in front of the right people, and help the customer and convert them. So building a budget, if you take the information I did following the same example all the way through, this is an example of a senior living community. So their direct mail cost per lead was $250 per lead. Their advertising digital is $80 a lead, and then print $450 per lead. Okay, so when you look at that, if you looked at nothing else and you just saw that, it's very tempting to say, well, let's go all in on digital because that's the least expensive lead. But what you have to do is we sit there and we say, yeah, but what's going to reach your audience for? The seniors and the conversion. That's where your conversions come in. So in this case, our audience converts, they read direct mail. So it's a senior living. It comes in their mailbox, they put it on the fridge, they keep it, it has a shelf life. So that conversion rate for direct mail is higher than digital and print for them. So you want to invest in direct mail because that's where you're going to get more good quality leads that convert. Digital, so we looked at this and we said we want to get 100 leads per month. That was our example back in the beginning. So how are we going to put that into a budget that makes sense strategically? So the direct mail investment, $7,500 per month. To get 30 leads, digital 60 leads we want, that's going to cost you $4,800 per month. And your print advertisement, you're going to get 10 leads from that, it's going to cost you $4,500. Now, a lot of people will look at this and say, whoa, $4,500 for 10 leads. Do keep in mind that all of this, when you're running it together, it's the omni campaign, the marketing, meeting people where they are, touching them as many times as they need to be touched before they convert into a customer. So it's that they're seeing you, they're getting a direct mail, then they're going online and they're seeing you, and then they see an ad in the newspaper, like, wow, it starts to look familiar. So you're using a lot of different mediums to reach people and become familiar. In this example, the total spend, $16,800 per month, which comes down to $168 per lead average for all of your different marketing channels. So how do we turn that into a budget? We take that information and we say, okay, here's you want to pull out those who are doing marketing budgets, it's not quite as simple as just 3 items. You want to sit down and write down everything that is in your budget that you have to pay for, that you have to be accountable for. All right, so it can be a number of different things. Direct mail, digital, newspaper, events. If you're having events, don't forget that. Paid social media, outreach, whatever charges and cost you will have, you put on your budget sheet. And that's going to help determine also your cost per acquisition overall. So you get a real good feel for your numbers. And when you put that into a final budget, here's your annual cost. So this is what your budget's going to look like when you go to, the finance people, the CEOs, the people who are looking at your numbers and are going to say, now you need to find a way to cut that. It happens every single time. but we'll work on that. But anyway, you get your annual cost. So you kind of start to get a feel for it, yeah.
Okay, so what about if you're a nonprofit or a shoestring budget,
Uh-huh.
and that is like a quarter of your budget for the whole year? Like, this seems unattainable. For,
Okay.
like, is there a product that would work for a nonprofit with a smaller budget that doesn't have $17,000 a month to spend on marketing? Like, is there still vehicles that you can use that would help,
Mhm.
out there?
Yeah, great question, because it is. We get all kinds of different budgets and sizes of budgets. So that's part of when we get to know you and having that discovery session of, let's talk about your budget. We're here to partner and help you. It's not a secret. You have money that you have to invest. We need to get you leads. Let's talk about how best to do that. The more information we have, the better. So yes, there are programs where we'll say, okay, this is your budget this year. It's on the low end, so we're gonna prioritize X, Y, and Z, and here's what we're gonna get you. And we might not start getting you 100 leads a month, but you might be getting 20 leads a month. And then we're gonna build on that momentum. Then as you build and you get more customers and business
The
gets
revenue
bigger,
picks up.
the revenue picks up and people say, oh, that's kind of a neat investment, let's, do more. And sometimes that's what it takes. It takes a kind of a year to show the people who approve our budgets that they actually work. You actually do get a return on your investment. So yeah, we'll look at it and work with any size budgets. Adam.
Just wanted to mention, one of the things that I see with our nonprofits especially, is that they change where they put their money throughout the year. So, I'm sorry, I'm trying to catch your eyes. Earlier in the year, they may go more on the digital side, things like that. Towards the holiday season, looking at people looking for donations, looking for things like that, they move to the direct mail, because that's where they'll be able to put a return envelope and get the money back in. So I think that budget also flows throughout the year into those different categories, which is important, which Amy and team are really great at putting together.
Yeah, great point, Adam, thank you. And yeah, that brings to mind, the word fluid, that like we talk about. Marketing plans are fluid, budgets are fluid. You have to stick with your bottom line ultimately. You can't just show up and overspend. But it doesn't mean that in the middle of a campaign or the middle of something or some event is happening that you didn't expect, that we can't reallocate money and shift it around and say, this is where you're going to get most bang for your buck.
Excuse me, does this include all the creative, development?
In this case, let me see, with the direct mail it does, yeah. Direct mail, we've got that all in there, and the digital ads, yes, you get a set of ads that come with that. So yeah, we lay that all out there for you so that you know exactly what the cost is.
I think the portion that I haven't seen for this example yet that's missing to kind of help to how do you want to say, do a comparison against this particular environment and like the nonprofit. What is the percentage of this particular examples with maybe their overall, I know you couldn't show all of their specifics, but that in comparison to what they're actually spending on, marketing, in comparison to this budget, what would you say their sales were that year? Because then that would give me a really good gauge and conclusion.
Gotcha, yeah, that makes sense. That's when we dig down into the analytics and when you're starting to talk about your cost per leads and all that, exactly, we'll give you a percentage of that. And you'll see it trends month by month, year over year of this is, you spent 30% of your budget on, of your overall marketing budget on direct mail. So here's your rate of return on that. So great point.
And I think what she's saying is,
Yeah.
what would the size of a company be that could spend $239,000?
Because
on
like
marketing?
this lady's example was, of course, a nonprofit. That's a different market. But right here, a senior living community this one is most likely doing quite well.
Yes.
If they're willing to spend. That's why I said, what was that percentage? So then we could see, okay, yeah, I'm spending, almost, basically 240 grand on my budget, but we're taking in this amount every year. So I was like, if that's represented here, that would definitely help me see the benefit
Sure,
of this
sure.
particular.
I think to help answer your question,
Okay.
typically you're going to want to spend around 5% of your revenue
Okay.
But that can gauge by industry. There's some industries with customer acquisition is so high, you can go up to 25%. So there really is a range, depending on what industry you're in and what your goals are.
Okay.
But I mean, I guess if your question is, I would probably do 5x to that number.
That's what I'm saying, if you remember, because this was a real example, right?
Yep.
So what did this particular community, what was their target? Was it like 5% or something like that?
It's,
What did you
yeah,
say?
that's a good kind of rule of thumb of somewhere around 5% for them. I think this budget is about 7.5% of the.
I can
overall.
understand because they need to do a lot of marketing because
Yeah.
it's attract, what is it, residents?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're
Okay.
higher end, they're a
Yeah.
higher end retirement community. So people that are gonna come to their business are expecting to see higher end. So their marketing, everything needs to be at a level of sophistication that
Yeah.
matches what your target audience is.
And that's what I noticed, if you go back 1 or 2 slides with the printing and advertising leads, I had a feeling that's why that number was so high.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So just doing some quick math, consider them a company that does revenue of over $3.25 million.
Okay, yeah, now that's nothing. I get
Okay.
that, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you though, because that's perspective
Yeah.
to put it in, and that's when,
Right, because it's like pure sticker shock. You
okay.
know what I mean? As a
Not good.
nonprofit sitting here and I'm like, why am I even in this?
Yeah, we
Like,
know.
I can't afford any of this, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we
Like-
know the plight of the
Yeah,
nonprofit, you're
yeah.
literally like paying
Yeah.
Peter to rob Paul, yeah.
Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, great question. And I've worked in a nonprofit before, so I was in charge of the marketing budget, so I know the sticker shock that can be. I think the bottom line is, that's why you want to make sure you're working with someone who has your best interest and your client's best interest in mind, who's going to partner with you and say, okay, what's it going to take? And you're not afraid to say, my budget is $10,000. I don't have $90,000. So what would we do? So we would sit down and say, okay, well, let's look at that. Let's see where best to spend that. Is it every month throughout a year? Or do we look at one big event and say, you know what, let's put all your money here because we're gonna make it bigger, better, and you're gonna get more leads. And that's gonna make your budget go further. So it's not always every month spend that much or every this, it's really situational as well. And that's the fun part. That's where we get really strategic, like tell us what's coming up, what are you gonna be doing? Let's talk about what we can highlight, where your money is best spent, and then go through a couple scenarios for you. Return on your marketing budget. So this is just, I talked a lot about how what we do with clients is we meet monthly with them and we say, here's what happened this month here are your results, here's what that means, and here's what we recommend you do differently, or stay the course, this is working beautifully, don't change a thing. But, and that's so that we're keeping an eye on your return, because everybody in your company is gonna say, like you were saying, if I'm gonna spend $200,000, talk to me about return. What am I getting back for that? Well, we're gonna show you that, and in numbers and in reports, so you get to see that. So you analyze the monthly results. We sit down, review your business standing. Again, that is where I was talking with, like we're a partnership. We're gonna sit down with you and say, the numbers say that business is a little low. You're telling me business is great, it was booming. Let's talk about that gap. What is that? What are you seeing versus us? So you always got to keep it real. Like, right, the numbers don't lie, and numbers are great, especially for the accountants in the world. But as marketing people, it's much more, there are other factors that we got to think about. So we make sure we talk to you and find out what's happening on the front line, if you will. And then we present that customized data so that we can then talk about it and say, all right, what's our best next move? Your marketing dollars. So let's take an example. We were talking about this. What happens when you invest in any marketing channel? In this case, just one example. This is if you're paying for digital marketing. So you're saying, we don't really have an online presence yet. I heard what Steven said about SEO, and that sounds pretty slick, and we really need that. What does that mean? What does that look like? So you put money into a digital online ad, and it gets out there, and a customer sits at their computer and says, I need landscaping. I need somebody to mow my lawn. They type that in, up comes all the different results like Steven was showing you, the paid results, and your ad is there. So we look at that ad, the customer looks at your ad and says, wow, that's pretty slick. They look like they know what they're doing. Ooh, and they're giving, 1 month free if I do a 3-month service. I want to check them out a little bit more. So the customer clicks that ad, the customer takes further action. So they clicked the ad, then they went somewhere else. They went to Amazon because they're like, let me see if there's grass seed. Maybe I'll just buy it myself and do it. It'll be a lot cheaper. So they go to Amazon and they're looking up grass seed. And you know what pops up in front of them? Your ad. Because now we know that your interest is in landscaping. You Google that way over here. Now you're on Amazon. We happen to know that. So we serve it up. So that's the second touch or the third touch. So you get the consistency going, and that's how people are going to remember you. And it's going to build your credibility. Because as you think about it, when you're out shopping for something, when you start to see the same information about the same company, it builds like, well, they're the real deal. They're not just a fly-by-night, they're established, they're real. It reinforces the customer's good decision to go with that. So very important part of the marketing. So the customer takes further action. They might download the app or they redeem an offer. And then that same customer continues to see your ads. So why is that so important? What I was just talking about, when they take further action, this is victory. This is a conversion, okay? So when you're talking about why are we putting all our money into marketing and what's the real result, you want people to come in your store or you want them to become a customer. When they take an action, fill out a form, anything, you capture their data. And that's a whole other marketing seminar on what to do with that and how to use that and reinvest that into something. But once you have their information, a lot of times you do an automated email campaign so you keep in touch and keep nurturing them along the way, depending on what the situation is. So they do that, and then the same customer continues to see these ads, and that's building your brand and your credibility in a big way. So think about a time when, like purchasing a car, and you buy it, you're really into it, you're thinking, okay, I'm gonna get that Toyota Camry. And then everywhere you go, you start seeing it. Mm-hmm. That is starting to reinforce, oh, that is a good car, that is a good choice. And it pops up everywhere. That's what you want your marketing to do, is to be everywhere and then reinforce good decisions. And that's just our SEO audit again that we talked about before. And I'm just stressing it because typically we charge for that. And you get really a full, nice report. And we make that available just to you guys for coming today because we appreciate the fact that you're willing to leave your office and come here and spend some time learning about what marketing and the different topics are. But we appreciate that time. I know it's very valuable. All right, we've asked some questions along the way. Let's see how we did. Remember when Steven was talking about SEO and having frequently asked questions coming up? If you have that on your website, when the layperson like me goes in and says, how do I make my grass grow better? And it comes up and there's a question, there's 10 questions, you know how you click on the first one that says, making my grass grow. And you're saying, okay, and then here's a list of 6 other questions that might actually be a part of that, might be related to that, and you start clicking down, and that's your marketing bringing people into the funnel. So, what's the difference between SEM and SEO? Anybody want to speak to that? We'll let Steven answer that one.
Unless anybody knows.
Just Google it.
Nice. I hope you got a strategic factory ad served up.
I'll go back and check.
Okay.
We'll see how sticky it was.
A lot of people Yeah, they have the confusion between SEM and SEO. SEM is paid search results, so it's more the PPC, it's all paid search. So what I showed on the screen before, it's the advertisement, it's the sponsorship. So you pay for that. You get on keywords, so you go on Google Ads or Bing Ads, that's all search and search engine marketing. SEO is, you know, kind of what this is about, search engine optimization, that's organic, so that's free. So you're optimizing your website, you're making it look good regarding keywords, navigation, site speed, things like that. So SEM is kind of something, a quick fix, you can get conversions right away, but SEO is more of a long-term approach where you can continually optimize it, refresh content.
All right, another big question we get often is, do we run display and geofencing campaigns? Steven does them all the time. You want to explain a little bit about those two?
Yeah, I mean, we have not only just do SEO or Google Ads, we also do display ads too. So display ads are really great for branding purposes, especially if you have like a new product, new service. It shows, you know, the authentic photos, someone, you know, whether you're playing with your product or showing off of their service. Someone can click on that and go right to your website, show videos as well. Geofencing is something pretty cool. We started that. It can actually show, you know, within a radius, for example, you know, we can target people within like a 5-mile radius of a certain neighborhood, and then once they you know, once they're in that radius, they can receive ads within a certain app, for example. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
and then-
sorry, Steve, I'm going to jump in just as the real life example there
Yeah.
is, you know, like, let's say the retirement community or even landscaping folks, people who have the income to move into a retirement community or who have lawn services, we know they probably have a certain level of income. Those people also often go to the theater. So we're going to box the theater so that when they walk in the door and they're looking at their phone to bring up the playbill, they're looking at it and your ad appears there. It's like, whoa, how'd they know? So it's also like in different businesses. So if you are trying to reach parents, you might fence around soccer fields and schools. And as soon as you drive in to pick up your kid, you get an ad for Genova's. Hey, don't feel like cooking tonight? Stop by Genova's and get a pizza.
Yeah, I think that examples are definitely better option. Like, for example, Genova's is down the street of the Genova's app.
Mm-hmm.
And you drive into Genova's, right away they know you're there. You get an ad that says, hey, 20% off chicken, you know, because they know you're there. That's geofencing. It's pretty crazy they actually follow you. But it's effective. You do remarketing once you leave the store too. They'll remarket you within a 20-mile radius, say, hey, come back. So it's pretty nice.
Can I ask a quick
Oh,
question?
go ahead.
So, I am familiar with geofence, you know that, I work for Martin's Caterers, catering company, brides, events, stuff like that. Can you give me some examples of how maybe we could use geofencing for us? So, I mean, the only thing that I can think of is somebody walking into a jewelry store. I mean, somebody going into a jewelry store, hopefully they're buying an engagement ring, maybe we wanna show them an ad for Martin's Caterers, but beyond that, I'm kinda like, because we're so early in the pipeline, it's a challenge.
Mhm.
So I didn't know if you guys work with other companies that have the same type of business and.
Catering company? Yeah, I mean, you know, it always doesn't have to be so, you know, that someone has to be in a certain place, you know, all the time within a 5-mile radius or anything. Do you have like a customer list or anything like that?
Well, I mean, when customers come in, I mean, we obviously get their email, phone number, and all of that, and ask them if it's okay to contact them. So we can mine that from our CRM system, you know, everybody that comes in to
through the doors. We do, you know, if they have an appointment, if they fill out the web form, we have all of that data.
Yeah, I mean, we can do that, we can do a customer list, we can upload a customer list, and then we can actually do that as well, like a geo-targeting type of campaign.
Yeah, and we're gonna-
Geo-targeting type of campaign, and then send notifications through the web and also through apps. That's one point. Also, any type of, we can do it by interests too, and any type of competitors too that they recently went to. We can also do it by radius, so if they're within maybe like a 2-mile radius of your store, certain age groups, certain income status, if they drive by, they can get a message through your app, through an app or online.
Yeah, and with what you're talking about, again, that's a lot about gathering the data, the information with you. Immediately what comes to mind when you say that is, you know, a couple of examples of where you might do that. So you're a catering company who's looking for catering. Go to synagogues. They are having bar mitzvahs all the time, and people need catering. So let's target those people. Let's go where people are buying their wedding gowns, because that's going to be next on their checklist of things that they need to do. Let's go over here to a photo studio. People are going to meet with their photographers. So anything related to that needs catering and falls within your target audience, income levels, things like that, that's what we're going to do. We're going to look and go and fence in those areas.
I think one thing to note, I mean, obviously Amy and Steven are going over just a couple tactics today. Not every digital tactic, not every marketing tactic works for every business. In your example, I think competitor conquesting, which is a good one where people are searching for other like businesses, which again, the agency team can certainly help you out with setting up campaigns like that. So just something to think about as you're, you know, brainstorming. Yes, not every tactic may make sense for every business.
I don't know if you offer this, but when I basically did a business model canvas and value proposition to find my customer segments, it helped me look up areas like when you're talking about like key partners, that's what she's mentioning, different types of other businesses and stuff that help that basically help you to find out exactly, you know, the right target or customer segment. That helped me. Now, it's not an easy thing to do a business model canvas or value proposition. That's why I said I don't know if that's something that you would be offering, but if they had that, go do that with them, because it really helps you target the segments that you're looking for.
Yeah, great point, thank you. And that's, we do a lot of that, of like, who's your customer, what's your typical customer look like? Let's define that and come up with this person that is your customer, and then let that guide us where we go, where we spend our money. Excuse me. All right, this, we touched on a little bit, how much do I need for my SEO campaign? I think that kind of gets to your conversation of what do you got to have in order to be impactful? And the answer is, it depends. Depends on what you're trying to do and what your goals are. So we sit and we look at the different goals and we say, okay, if this is what you're trying to do, then I think with this budget you can optimize this event by spending $5,000 on a digital campaign over 3 months. Let's get everybody in. Let's do it before Giving Monday, and get them used to us and knowing who we are, and let's reach out to them. So again, your budgets can be anywhere from a $5,000 budget, we can go up to millions. How do you tie demographics, interest? Thank you to you. We just talked about that as far as understanding who we're trying to reach. So when we sit with you, we sit there and say, tell me about your ideal customer. And that's also based on who's actually using your business, who's walking through your door. Let's define them and then make sure we're building an appropriate campaign. And when will I see results? Very important. We try to maintain realistic expectations for you to share with your stakeholders, but really what we're looking at, as Steven said, a digital campaign can hit the market and get you some quick leads, you know, the first couple months. SEO takes a little bit longer, so you're building up everything. But it really depends on how you go about the campaign, when you get results. we always say, let's, give it 2 to 3 months to start to gain momentum. And then all the different marketing channels start pulling in, people start seeing you in other places, they start working together, and then you start to see your numbers go from 10 to 15, and then all of a sudden it's at 30. And that's because you've just been online, we're learning the algorithms, and we're following people like we talked, so we're reaching more people as we go. So we talk about the results, some can be immediate, and some, when we do a marketing plan, I like to say, what do you need to have happen in the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 3 years, 5 years? What's, if you've got an anniversary coming up in 3 years, let's build up to that. All right, what questions didn't we ask? Or answer, I should say. Sorry, we're gonna have to do the whole thing over this one. Anything?
Yeah,
Okay.
this is great, thanks. That's very
Ready?
Awesome. You've seen it 100 times. You have your SEO promotion in your folders. Steven's excited to talk to you guys about, your strategy if you'd like. And I know that several of you wanted to take the time to look at our showroom, touch, feel things. You are more than welcome to. We will be hanging around answering any questions that you're thinking of last minute. But yeah, last chance. Any questions you want to ask now?
I noticed you have printing, signage, branding, marketing. Is it safe to assume that you grew into a lot of these other areas? Like,
Yeah.
did you start out kind of doing one thing, maybe creating signage or maybe being a printing? Like, give me the backdrop and so how did you get to all these areas that you're covering?
So Keith, our CEO, came here in 1999. We're actually about to celebrate our 25th anniversary this coming year. So very exciting. Keep a lookout, we're planning something fun. But he came, started a Minuteman Press franchise, so printing, and just, was being approached by people needing other things, and he quickly realized that he could offer all of these things. So through mutual connections, acquisitions, we were able to grow into the beautiful monster that we are, and offer everything. So it was an impressive, path, but he made it happen.
Thank you for that backdrop. That makes sense. I had a feeling probably was either printing or signage, but the reason why I wanted to get that information is to, some folks have already said, I have a business where, I'm bringing in customers, and a lot of times the services that I offer, there's so many tangents to what I offer, but I want to stay where I'm at, and how do I bring in, all of those different elements. So listening to this journey helps me be even more confident about saying, hey, just because you're not doing this, or there are different partners. That's why I wanted to come here, so that I could basically have customers come in and listen to conversations like this, so that there's the packages that I build them. You're like, see, now we're going to go in this direction. So that's why I wanted to know. The very nice history though.
Yeah, and also in the square soft touch booklet in your folders is also the history as well.
Okay.
It discusses our journey. But yeah, we pride ourselves in now being a single point provider for all those things, whether you do all of it or one of the things. Fantastic, we're here to help, support you. Yeah, thank you so much.
It's a big part of the culture too, because people always ask me, what's your favorite part of working there or whatever. If I'm working with people, because we're doing the marketing plans that's all inclusive of everything. So I can walk down the hall and say, I need some information about this. But if there's something that somebody needs and we're like, hey, you know what? We really need to offer this to be that one point solution for people. Literally go and sit down with Keith and say, here's what I'm seeing a lot of, let's talk about this. And he starts doing research and finding out who can we partner with, who can we work with to get this going. So it's like you said, it's a cultural thing of being a culture mindset of how do we help people and make it easy. Because you guys have to go market, you guys have the hardest job in the world. You're out there working every day to try to get new business, get people in, see it through and everything like that. We need to make that part easy on you guys. So if you can do everything, one person to coordinate it all, it's a big time saver. And it grows in your partnership and your relationship. Because then we're saying, hey, you know what, we're doing your signage, we're doing this. You mentioned this, I think it'd be awesome if we went and let me show you something else we do for, promotional items. And I think that would really go well with your event, and here's what we can do. And so it's kind of fun, it just kind of festers.
No, I agree with you. I'm not sure if everyone, well, your marketing firm, of course, you picked up on this already. But another reason is you have competition, and why would I pick you or over someone else? There is a shift where people want to do business with people. They don't want to do business with a big, strong, corporate arm, or they don't want to do, like you said, some flaky company. And so this is something where I say, no, this is a real company. These are real people. They've been around. They have a story. They started out small like you. So this is a better selling point if you're grouped in a package. So that's why, thank you. I just wanted to be able to have that kind of information. And I don't know if you know that's one of your niches, because you're not some big, what do you say, aloof.
We're much more personable
Yeah,
than
much
most,
personable.
yeah.
Okay.
Can we quote you on that?
Yeah.
You can have
Actually,
that
I
one,
was gonna
because
put
that
that
one's-
piece of that right to my boss.
Yeah.
That's just how do you want to say, a shift that I've noticed, and I'm not just saying this. I mean, the customers that I work with, they don't want to support someone that's killing the environment, or there are all of these different types of social impacts that are business related now. So now I have to go out here and look for a real company for a customer that wants a real company, that kind of thing. So that's one of the elements I have to.
Wow, thank you for saying that. I like that.
Yeah.
You wrapped that up.
Yeah. That being said, I think that was a great ending to this conversation.
You're welcome.
So thank you for that. Thank you all for coming. Feel free to take a look at our showroom. Myself and a few others will be around there if you have questions, and then somebody else
Oh, my name's
can.
Rhonda.